On 8th of December 2012, the European Guide Dog Federation held a day-long seminar on training and standardisation in Schiphol, Amsterdam. The participants were rewarded with some fascinating discussions on the training standardisation process, as well as practical aspects of guide dog training. This included the pros and cons of using a cane and a guide dog together. The participants at the conference are very active people who are really trying to improve the life of visually impaired people across Europe.
I held a speech in the European Parliament in 2009 concerning the support of the legal right to access of guide dog users, because in most of the countries they were not allowed to go all over the place, so people needed to be informed and guide dog users needed to be supported. Therefore they needed to be allowed to go in various places without any further assistance and without being banned when it came to using the dog. And the law went through, and now it's currently in use and everyone is applying to it.
Through his presentation, Danny Grossmans, a pet behaviour counsellor, highlighted the sometimes adverse influence that living with man has on the natural social development of dogs and puppies. But also, if we commit to getting a dog, this experience can be very rewarding.
Scientific study done that people live longer when they have a dog. Not a cat, not a rabbit, dogs. And why? Because they have to go out when they have a dog.
Getting a guide dog is life-changing, and the commitment has to be total. That's what most guide dog users emphasize.
Everybody should have a dog, of course, if this person is enough active, if she or he needs the dog, because there is no sense to have dog only to say that you have guide dog. It's stupid just to use the dog like a toy, like a pet.
For me, you might say, well, what can a guide dog do? Well, as somebody who hasn't got any usable vision, what he does is, in basic terms, he walks in a straight line, moving around objects, not bumping into them. That's the very basic levels, because of course the reality is it's an awful lot more than that. So he's with me all the time, so for many people the companionship is important, but also he is trained to disobey dangerous commands when you tell the dog to go forward and there's a car coming. So the idea is that he'll stop. It's life-changing. It doesn't just help me with life, I live an entirely normal life, and that is thanks to Guide Dog Chip.
A guide dog stands first and foremost for mobility, and that is the most important thing for someone who decides to get one.
I have been a white cane user for over 50 years, and in the end I decided that I thought a guide dog would then meet my mobility needs better. Over the last 50 years I've done over 50 different sports, from sailing and scuba diving and gliding and piloting a plane and driving a bus and abseiling. I've skied in 6 Winter Paralympics, 3 World Championships and 2 European Championships.
The final presentation explained the EGDF 2012 Mobility Questionnaire, to which 355 individuals from 19 EU member states responded. Compared to the 2007-2008 EGDF research, this highlights some changes for the better. Guide dogs enjoy free travel on 98% of trams, closely followed by free travel on 95% of buses or taxis. The worst performers in offering free travel for dogs are airlines, but even here, 87% will travel free of charge. But access does remain a problem, with insurance, allergies, personal reasons, legal reasons and hygiene, all used as excuses for refusing access to a guide dog.
Access is a right for everybody, also for the visually impaired. The government doesn't have to concentrate on the dog, they have to concentrate to the human being that has a problem in having access in a house or a street or tram or bus, it doesn't matter. And the dog is just part of the aid that the visually impaired person uses.
There are many visually impaired citizens of the European Union who have benefited from the use of a guide dog. However, there is considerable reluctance among many Europeans from minority ethnic communities towards the use of guide dogs, with cultural and religious differences often cited as reasons for this. Guide dogs are a real option for visually impaired people, enabling them to take more control of their own lives and reduce the burden of care on their loved ones. This is exactly what EGDF is doing, helping those with visual difficulties to enhance and improve their lives by deciding to request the help of a guide dog. Rashmi Shah is a Hindu who moved from Kenya to England in 1988. At that time, he could still read and write, though he was not fully sighted. 2 weeks after his arrival, he lost all sight. All the men in his family have been affected by this genetic disease for which there is no cure, but Rashmi is the only one who decided to give up his white cane for a guide dog.
I work mixed with a lot of blind people, and I see that guide dog was helping a lot of people, making life easier. And initially I had a long cane when I first started some rehab training, and with the local authority they gave me long cane training to help me to get out and about, because often the pavement circumstance cane gets stuck into, and I used to especially my head and bump into lamppost and all that, and I was end up with quite sort of nasty injuries, cuts, bruises. So by having a dog, you don't have to concentrate on long cane, because the dog makes sure that you're not bumping into anything or tripping over anything. That's the main part of the dog, is to say my safety, that I don't hurt.
Rashmi's religion has rules about living with animals, but this did not prevent him from getting a guide dog.
Initially, as I am an Indian, I'm Hindu, as a culture issue, and in our culture, I don't know, somehow the belief is that they are dirty and all that, but so that was quite an issue, and also have fear. So not only with the community, but with my own family, they were not, not happy to me have a dog. But I said, I need that, and I need to get them about, and they're not going to be for me all the time. So I just went for it, and gradually I am now persuading to people to accept, but it is still quite an issue. Still people, like when you saw with a dog, people, run away from you within my, community and within Asian community. Sometimes they go across the road or, not talk to you. So, I mean, it has been an issue. It's gradually they're, going in the right direction, but it's still not quite there.
Things are changing slowly, maybe more slowly than Rashmi would like, but the fact that he learned to live with his best friend Ruby, to rely on her to get him safely to all the places he could never go alone before, this is the greatest achievement of his life.
After having a dog, my life has changed so much and has improved that it made, not only gave me a confidence, but make a lot easier in getting out and about and getting A to B. For example, when the dog is familiar, going to people's house, I can quite easily rely on the dog without worrying, without being stressed and thinking that whether I'll get there or not, and not having to rely on people all the time. So I think it's a big improvement to my life.
A trip to the shopping centre, going to the bank or to the chemist's. Rashmi could not have done any of those before getting a guide dog. Now he can walk with confidence, thanks to Ruby.
Because now she's used to finding shops or bank or if I go to chemist booths, because she's used to that, so she will take me and tell me, instead of when I used to have a cane, I have to really find and really use my brain, or somebody help me, whereas this is a dog. She knows that I go there, so she'll stop me and say, we are over here. Ken wouldn't do that for me, see.
His message to those who are thinking about getting a guide dog is the same as any other guide dog user.
To go for a dog as a guide dog, it is so important for a person who is blind person or getting visual impairment, A, to get independent and not having to rely on people. And I think if once you overcome the accepting an animal, because it not only gives you as a mobility aid, but I think it gives you a lot of other aspect of having a guide dog. I think it's not just one benefit having a guide dog. I think they can become your best friend.
He is proud that he managed to overcome the prejudices and has greatly improved his quality of life by getting a canine companion. He is an active person with mobility needs and also a big supporter of guide dog use among the visually impaired. Independence and friendship, these are the two words he mentions most frequently. There is a broad smile on Rashmi's face whenever he talks about his involvement in community life. The various projects and trips he undertakes now have brought him a new peace and contentment, which had been missing for so long in his life.